Every time I go over to Marcy, it was always very fun. And as years go on, when she moved to Florida, I helped her, help her with moving and stuff. And I got to know her, be caught up with her. Got this, because I haven't talked to my aunt over 10 years. And it was so good to catch up with her and talk to her. And it was just, she was, very loving. I could definitely say that she was loving to everyone. She cared about people more than herself. And it's a shame that what happened. But it's hard to forget someone who gave you so much to remember. I know that. But remember that grief is the price we pay for love. And love is not easy at all. We all know that. It's hard. It's like it's a relationship. And I know, like I said, Marcy loved everyone. And I'm proud to be her nephew. But just remember that even though she's passed, that it's not the end. Death is not the end. It's not the end. Think of death like a road, and you are the traveler, and your soul is the guide. And even though our minds fear death, it's only because our hearts think of life, and our soul thinks of immortality. What I'm here to say is thank you, Aunt Marcy, for everything. I love you so much.
I'm going to be reading a scripture from Psalms. So in peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, O Lord, will keep me safe. Also have some memories I'd like to share. I have some of the best memories of my mom's mother. Like the time when we went to Olive Garden with her and I brought this Rapunzel notebook while we were waiting with her. And while we were waiting at our table, I wrote, I love XOXO 28 times. Mom. I showed it to my mom's mother and she wrote, I love Brianna XOXOXOX. Love, Mom. That is one of the memories that I will never forget. And my second memory of her was when me and my sister Marley had to go to bed and my mom read us a book called Balto. In front of the book she wrote a note. I still have the book and I will keep it for as long as I can.
If you guys would stand with me at this time, we're just going to sing a hymn. The words will be up on the screen. It is well with me, so.
May the road rise to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. May the sun warm upon your face and the rain fall soft upon your fields. Until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.
At this time, I would like to invite the family members up front who have prepared something to say, Joanne and Ted. If there are any other family members who have any reflections, feel free to come on up.
I'm sorry, this is going to be really wordy, but I couldn't keep it any shorter. I first met Marcy in the summer of 1984 at her parents' home inside the downstairs door to the backyard on Coldwell Road. She was pregnant with Christina at the time, and my first impression of her was that she had a smile as wide as the state of Texas. She was a beautiful girl, married for not too long at the time, and filled with anticipation about her new baby and her life ahead. We chatted that day, but it was a day filled with new people for me to meet, so we didn't spend all that much time together. I found out that day that she and Bill were actually living in Florida, but just up for a visit. So in Florida is where she would have Christina, and then in that October, and then in 1987, Billy. I remember a really fun 3-week vacation that we took when Billy was still in the crib. Ted and I flew down with Rachel and Cheryl and spent some time vacationing, and then headed over to Marcy and Bill's to spend Christmas with them. And Marcy was organized to the extreme. In my house, Christmas presents were scattered under the tree, but not in Marcy. You had a pile on the left for Bill, and you had a pile on the right for Christina. And I'm guessing that she got that from her parents. And I'm pretty sure that that's the way it always was. Things didn't work out as planned with Bill, and Marcy and the kids moved back to New Jersey. It wasn't long before Marcy was remarried and gave birth to our beautiful Danielle. Now, there were 3 kids, a husband, and whatever dogs at the time. But she was fun too. She loved Florida. She loved the sun and the pool, and was so happy when Mom and Dad decided to move to Florida permanently, and she was going to live in the house that she grew up in. It was part of her, it was part of them, and it meant the world to her to be able to live there. She also loved to travel. She took trips to Florida, driving with all the kids to Nettles Island, where they would vacation. She loved to fish. She didn't eat the fish, but she did love fishing. She took a trip to Mexico with Pete once, and went fishing there, and proceeded to break her foot. Being graceful was not one of her strong points. She always wanted to cruise, but she had a bad experience that fed her fear of cruising, but she always wanted to do that later in life. So Marcy could whip up a meal for 6 in a flash. She had to. She had 4 kids and a husband to feed. But then there were those date nights too, where the kids feasted on peanut butter and jelly, and I'm sure you all remember that. She was, or at least tried to be, a very strict disciplinarian. She had a chore chart on her refrigerator, and everybody had the list of what they were supposed to do and what the consequences were when they didn't do it. So she really handed out a lot of consequences. One of the things that was so Marcy was her love for dogs. Let's see, there was Cindy growing up. When I came along, there was Peabody and Tamaroo. And, well, that was Mom and Dad's dog anyway. She had a love of Shih Tzus. Geisha was cute until she wasn't. Then there was Panda and Pooh Bear, and they had 3 litters. I remember her first litter. Mark was a little boy and fell in love with one of the puppies. So Marcy whispered into Mark's ear, "Come over to your dad and say, 'Oh, Dad, can't we have this puppy?'" So who could say no to that? Well, not Ted. Who's going to say no? So when Spanky was old enough, he came home with us. And remember Perdita, Danny's favorite? The big Afghan hound that ran around the yard and ran away every chance she could. And then Marcy bought Jixer for Alexa. All she ever wanted was for her to have a yard and her own dog. For many years at our home in New Jersey, we would have theme parties during the summer. Most of you have come to at least some of them. We had our Grease party, our Survivor party, a Hawaiian luau, just to name a few. One year we had a TV theme party. Ted and I were dressed up as Captain Stubing and Julie, the cruise director from the Love Boat. People came in all sorts of costumes that were wonderful. I'll never forget the costumes Marcy and her family came in. They were all dressed in white with cotton balls glued all over their clothing. They were the Serta sheep. Very clever indeed. For Marcy, she couldn't get enough of her family. She always wanted to spend weekends together, especially during the summer for those wonderful barbecues on Caldwell Road, gathering together for Dad's paella during Labor Day weekend, and week after week of playing Trivial Pursuit with the extended family. Family swims and wonderful conversations with Uncle Al and Aunt Dot, or as everyone always mistakenly said, Aunt Al and Uncle Dot. Marcy would bring her taco dip, which was quickly devoured by everybody. Marcy loved to laugh about her childhood with her brothers. She was the apple of her dad's eye, and they all knew it. The boys were supposed to be babysitting her when Mom and Dad went out. We all know how that went. Ted paid Marcy to do his laundry, and I only wish I could have been a fly on the wall to witness all the shenanigans that went on throughout those years. She had a special bond with each of her brothers and always, always, always spoke fondly of each of them. Marcy and I had a dream